Hey folks, hey, it's a very cold September day, overcast, haven't seen the sun yet today, and what time we got? It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm going to be striking out on a hike. I'm not sure how far this hike's going to be. I'm going to hike about 2 miles in and turn around and hike the 2 miles back out. And I think that's the distance I'm going to be going. So it's about 4 miles. And I'm going to be taking my sweet old time. So I'm looking at a couple hours of hiking. I should be back out of the woods by 3, 4 o'clock, no matter what. And back here at camp. And then I'm going to make myself a big pot of chili for dinner tonight. But what do I do when I get ready to go on a hike like I'm taking today? It's a cold one. It's cold. It's only 40 degrees right now. I just checked the temp. It was supposed to get up to 54 today. No, it's not going to do it. It actually dropped. It got up to about 40. It got up to about 48 degrees. And then now it's dropped again. 1 o'clock in the afternoon, temperatures dropped again. So it's probably going to be a pretty cold night again. But this hike, what do I do? Well, for one thing, I wear my Lone Peak 3.0 high tops. These are the best hiking shoes I've ever owned. These and the other pair I have, the 3.5s, which are low tops. I'm wearing the high tops today because I want ankle support. And now this throws people, but I wear N&G hiking socks. And these are what they call 5-finger socks. Now people think those are weird. Now these puppies aren't cheap. This pair, in fact, which is it's mostly what they call new wool. New wool. They're very warm. They're thin, but very warm. And I need them today. It's cold. Plus, with these separated toes, the fabric between the toes keeps you from blistering up, takes the fatigue out of your toes, allows your toes to splay out just like you're walking barefoot. They are so comfortable. They're weird, but they're comfortable. And they're high top. They come up almost to my knees, so they act like a compression sock. They reduce foot swelling, ankle swelling. I gotta have them. And I own a few pairs of these. The cheapest pair I own cost me $14 for one pair of socks. This pair of socks was well over 20 bucks. They're not cheap. But they hold up good. This pair has probably got 150, 200 miles of hiking in them already, and they still look new. They've been washed several times, by the way. Then, also, on my right ankle, because I broke my ankle last summer, I don't go any hiking distance without an ankle brace. And this is a good one. This ankle brace, the Hooshoe ankle brace. I own 3 of these. They're awesome. They are awesome. They give you so much ankle support. It's amazing. So with my high tops, the specialty socks, the ankle brace, then I'm off and I'm ready to head down trail. I'm layered today. Now I'm wearing just a standard denim type camouflage pants. But on the top, my top layer, I've got a long sleeve t-shirt. I've got a pullover hoodie that's fleece on the inside, nice and warm. And I've got an outer shell jacket, 3 layers. So I can strip layers down if I get overheated on the trail, or I can add layers to stay warm. I'm also taking 2 types of gloves with me, both fingerless. I like fingerless gloves, but my hands are affected by the cold a lot. But this is what I wear for out on the trail. These are a wool blend, and they're insulated with Thinsulate. There's 40 grams of insulate in this gloves, so they're very warm. They're very warm, and they're fingerless, but they got the flip over mitten on them. So no matter how cold it gets, my hands are warm. My other pair of gloves are leather. They're in my day pack. And then I take my day pack. My day pack weighs about, today it weighs about 16 pounds. And that's got everything I need in there in case I have an incident. I've got 2 nice hearty meals in there. They're freeze-dried meals. I've got cover. I've got containers, cooking. I've got a Stanley cook pot, cup, all that. I've got fixins for coffee, tea. I've got a survival blanket. I've got, all the gear is in there. If something were to happen and I had to stay put and even do it overnight, it's all in there. It's all in there. And of course, I carry a bushcraft knife with me, and there's a spare knife in the day pack. So I'm all geared up. Every fire starter, everything's in there. So I'm good to go. All I gotta do is get my foot gear on, and I'm heading down the trail. And hey, folks, it's raining. The minute I decide to go on a hike, it starts to rain. But we're gonna head down the Black Lake Trail. And I'm gonna hike it for a ways. I don't know how long I'll be out. I'll hike it to a point, and then if I'm gonna be soaking wet, I'm gonna turn myself back around and get out of here. But we're gonna go for a bit of a hike. And I thought I'd take you along. So let's head on down the trail. See you down the trail. Well, folks, there we go. Black Lake Trail. This trail is for your enjoyment. Interpretation of the features along the trail has been made possible by a donation from the Wisconsin Garden Club Federation. The trail is 4 miles long. It should take about 2.5 hours to hike. Enjoy your walk. Now this trail is in the red lines here, goes all the way around Black Lake, okay? Now what I'm going to do today, we're right here. I'm going to be hiking down around the south end of the lake, up the west end of the lake, and I'm going to get to about here, I believe. And then I'm going to turn around, because this north end where it crosses Fish Trap Creek here, Fish Trap Creek, that crossing is terrible. Very muddy, very wet, and I'm not really geared for taking that kind of a hike through that muck. They're going to be doing a project to put in a catwalk across that, a bog walk kind of affair, next year. So that trail should be better next year, and you'll be able to do the full loop without having to go through all that muck. You go through that now, you're going to be muddy up to your knees. And what I'm going to do is right here, is the Black Lake Trail Interpretive Pamphlet. And I'm going to, there we go, trying to get this opened up. This little pamphlet's nice. This is the trail head going in. You'll probably see water droplets on the camera because it's wet back here. Gives you a good map. And then there's postings that you'll see on the trip. There'll be a post with a number on it, and then the interpretation for that spot is in this pamphlet. So I'm taking this pamphlet with, and we'll stop at each post that we come across and see what the interpretation in the pamphlet says. So let's get down the trail here. Now the nice thing down this trail is that there's campsites down this trail. We're going to take a quick, here's the where it winds off. Off to the right are campsites, off to the left is the actual trail. We're going to go down here. There's one campsite I want to show you. There's 3 campsites down here, and there's one in particular I want you to see. And we'll hike down here quick. It's a beautiful trail through here, but if you're going to camp on that campsite that I'm going to show you, it's a good haul in here. You're going to be backpacking some gear back here. Here's the first campsite, number 27. It's stuck back in the woods there, right on the lakeside. It's a small little tent site. Now this is what I like, is you hike through here and there's spots you're in the rain, and then there's spots under a lot of these pines where you're not. So there's dry spots and wet spots. Here's the next walk-in campsite, number 28. You just walk in and around that bend. There's another little campsite along the lake. Now those 2 sites aren't terribly far to pack your gear in. But now 29, campsite 29 is a little different. You got a little further to go back in here. Nice trail though. But you're backpacking your gear in. And here's campsite number 29. Now this is a great site. This is a great site. As you can see, you see the lakefront. It's a beautiful campsite. Lots of spaces here. There's a tent pad by the fire pit. There's a tent pad over there. You can set a tent. You can set a tent right here. You can set up a tent up here on the hill. So there's plenty of places you can set a tent up, and you got great view of the southwestern end of the lake. It's a beautiful campsite. Love it. But it's a hike in. Oh yeah, and you have another tent pad here, and I got a pine squirrel there. See him? See him? Come on. You don't care. You don't care. He's right there. See him? Hey, squirrely. Squirrely. He's busy. He's busy. They're burying seeds for the winter. He's working in the rain, aren't you? Hey fella. See, he don't care that I'm here. He don't care. Another one of my woodland little friends, little characters that they don't seem to care that Sty's around at all. Well, let's get back and we'll hit that trail. And okay, we're back at the trail split. We went down to the campsites. We're going to head down the trail. Now, I will be doing some editing, flip-flopping through different parts of the trail for this whole trip. So there'll be several transitions. As you can see, this is a nice trail. There's just a little bit of hill stuff in here. Nothing difficult. Very easy hiking through here. It's a beautiful trail to hike. Wet, rainy day, cold, but still very enjoyable to be out here hiking. And this trail follows the lake pretty much, so stays right along the edges of the lake. So every once in a while you'll come out to where you have a lake view. It's like this spot. Boy, is that one big pine tree. Boy, that bugger's big. He's a big fella. Nice cleared out spot here. Actually, a person could probably disperse camp. Looks like you could put a tent. Nice tent pad there. Beautiful view of the lake. Yep, and on we go. This is a very good trail. It's very comfortable to hike. A few roots here and there, but that's it. No obstacles. Well, look at here. This is interpretation point number 2. What does it say? It says, to the left of the trail is the remains of a Pine Era logging camp. Okay, that would be in here. It says you can see mounds of earth which delineate the foundations of the old camp buildings. Look around, but do not dig in this area. If the site is destroyed by digging, a part of our heritage will be gone forever. Well, as wet as it is, I am not going to climb around in there to look. But the old foundations to this logging camp are back in these woods right here. And I'll come back someday and I'm going to go back there and explore and look around for the old foundations of that logging camp. Interesting. And what a place. I mean, logging camp sat right in here. Looked out over this south end of the lake. Awesome. On we go. Another huge pine. Dead pine, but boy, that bugger's huge. Yeah, the best you're going to average on a trail like this is about 2 miles an hour walking speed. That's about the best. So they estimate 2.5 hours for a casual, leisurely hike. Actually, more of a walk than a serious hike. And I feel like I'm walking a little quicker. It's more of a hiking pace. So if I were to hike the full 4 miles, probably 2 hours. And the thing is, like I said, I will not be hiking the whole loop because I am not hiking across Fish Trap Creek and the marshlands up at the north end of the lake. I do not want to be covered with muck up to my knees when I get back to my truck. Now this is going to prove to be a long video because I want to share as much of this trail with you as possible. Now we're on the southernmost end of the lake, and not too far up the trail here, we'll be turning north. Right now we're actually heading west. Deadfall tree here, looking out over the lake. Now, straight over there, straight over, you're not going to be able to see it probably, but straight over there is the campground swimming area. My campsite is right over there across the lake. Okay? Now I'm parked off right over there, and I hiked around the south end of the lake, and I'm coming up the northwest side. And the trail will start to turn more north. Now down here there's a boardwalk. You'll see. And I heard that this boardwalk is going to get some repairs throughout the summer next year. This whole trail is going to get maintained a little better, a little different. And there's a nice creek in here. You can see the creek. It's flowing really nice. Nice clear water. It's nice that they have a boardwalk across it. I heard they had to replace one of these boards because one had rotted out, and the trail, the gal that's in charge of the trails, I guess actually broke through one, so they hauled in this board, put it on. But yeah, it's a lot of work maintaining this stuff. Now these things you got to watch for, because that wood like that, they get like a mossy film on them, and when they get wet they get slippery. This is really neat. This creek is running right next to the trail. During peak season out here at the campground, a lot of people hike this trail. A lot of people. Not to the point where it's crowded, but if you decide to go for a hike on this trail during peak season, the odds are you're going to run into somebody. You'll cross paths with someone on the trail. Okay, here we go. There's our third interpretive point. Let's see what it says. It says, here the trail follows an old road along the west shore of Black Lake. The old road used the same location as the Stout Spur and an Edward Hines Lumber Company Railroad that ran from Loretta to Black Lake and beyond. The old logging railroads were constructed on level ground, much of it a swamp. The road was relocated in the 1930s to higher ground to make it passable in wet weather and to give better access to the forest west of Black Lake. Interesting. And on we go. Now you can tell we are actually hiking down part of that old original railroad bed. You see this berm here? I hope you can. There's a big, it looks like a ravine here with a berm of dirt. Well, actually, this would have been the ditch line. This is the railroad bed. And over here, it's the same way. You've got a little bit of a ditch, then you got this tall berm that goes up. And this is where they brought the railroad in, and they had to cut this and berm it on each side to keep the railroad bed level. Just a little bit of information for you there, folks. I know this is going to be a terribly long video. I always apologize because they're so long, and I hope we can keep the attention of the viewers while we're out here hiking. Especially for those viewers that just can't get outdoors. They don't have the opportunity. Their life schedule, their work schedule, family time, other obligations, or for physical reasons they cannot get out and take in the outdoors. Okay, now there's no interpretive sign around here, but I don't know what they are, but you may be able to see them down there. Those middle, they're like square tins. There's 3 of them stacked on top of each other, and they almost look like food tins from the 1930s. They would pack those full of food for the logging camps. So it's very possible that's what those are, remnants from the logging days. And I say possible because I have no way to confirm it right now. And as wet as it is, I'm not climbing down in there to look at them any closer. Now we're up on top of a nice hill, and off in the distance you can see the lake down there. This is a beautiful forest. Now, if it was fair weather, I would really be happy, because I'd be spending the better part of a day out here, just kind of nosing around, exploring. This has been quite the long hike today for this terrible weather we're in. I'm going to stop here and I'm going to check my battery level on my camera. Well, folks, just a little ways back I had to stop and do a battery change on the GoPro because I burned that battery up, used it up. There'll be a lot of footage on this hike, but I'll whittle it down and we'll make it practical. Check this birch tree out. How it went up and then it split off there and it split off there. And the bugger's still alive. That's amazing. That's amazing. You can tell it's rotting bad here. Eventually those two halves will break off, but that's pretty cool that it grew that way to start with. I just realized the outside of my beard is soaking wet from the rain. Underneath it's nice and dry, but the outside of it is soaking wet. That's a big birch tree. Yeah. Now I can say I wouldn't want to hike this from mid-June to, well, from mid-June until late August. Well, I would hike it, but it wouldn't be quite as enjoyable, I think, because of the bugs. The bugs would be bad. Now here you got a creek running through, pretty dry creek. And you can see this is the foundation to a footbridge that went across. The other piece of foundation's over there. Now there's a couple of rotten looking boards going across, and there's a part of the bridge foundation there. But the creek is dry right now, so no need. We can just walk across. But I can tell you, in the spring of the year, you'd want a footbridge across that. You're going to get your feet wet. You can tell there's a lot of water flows through there in the spring of the year. I got to meet the gal that is basically in charge of trails. in this area for the Forest Service. And oh, she's a wonderful person. She's really nice person. And I can tell too when I talk to her, she just loves the forest, loves her trails. And from what I understand, from what I heard today, they're going to have a crew, a 10-person crew, working with them next summer to work a lot of the campgrounds and the features of the campgrounds. And they're hoping that they can put that crew on some of the trails. So that'll be nice. It's a volunteer crew. I think it's through AmeriCorps. The Forest Service typically doesn't have, boy, a lot of deer traffic through here. Forest Service typically doesn't have the budget to do as much as they really would like to do. And a lot of that is trail and campground updates and improvements. So they get these volunteer crews, and it goes a long ways, helps them out a lot. Helps keep these trails maintained and accessible to us folks. Here we go. Here's marker number 4. What does marker number 4 have to say? I see there's another post down there. What does 4 have to say? Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, I get this. There's nothing left on here. They tore the sign off of it. And that other post down there, and this post here, it says, oh, I gotta adjust my glasses. There we go. The squared cedar post at this point is a plantation corner post. The scribing on the post says that this is corner number 14 of plantation number 2, which was planted by Camp Sawyer CCCs in October of 1935. Many times these posts are mistaken for survey corners. However, their only function was to determine the boundaries of the CCC plantations. The second post is a counting post. There's one down there. And it says the CCC kept detailed records of plantation costs and survival. This post is one end of the survival plot. Individual trees had lath stakes driven near them, and survival counts were made for several years following planting to check on the success or failure of the plantations. Awesome. Now, in past videos of mine, I've talked about the CCCs, the Civilian Conservation Corps in the 1930s. My father worked for the CCCs. He was kind of like on an advanced CCC crew, and what they did was mostly road construction into remote areas. And he worked on the Echo Trail in northern Minnesota, north of Ely, Minnesota. And he also worked on the Gunflint Trail, which is north of Grand Marais, Minnesota. There, he was a demolitions man. He hauled explosives for blasting rock where they were building the roads through the wilderness. And he worked with the CC camps for, I believe he was there for 2 years as a explosives handler. He hauled them and it was a pickup delivery kind of thing. He managed a couple of dynamite shacks where they'd store the explosives, and it was pretty much so a situation, I guess, where if you needed to blast some rock, my pop and the crew he was attached to were the ones that showed up, and they would haul in the munitions and they'd blast the rock out of the way for you. But the CCs, growing up, boy, I heard so much about the CCs. It's crazy. My father was a firm believer in our CC camps. Well, this is a nice open area in the woods. It's funny because my pants are wet enough now where they're just finally got wet above my socks. And adjusting. Actually, my socks have worked down about 3 inches from hiking. So I'm just adjusting my socks. Those nice new wool hiking socks I wear. They're so warm. They're thin, but super warm. There. But, oh, I don't feel the moisture now. But yeah, my pant legs, they're getting wet. About halfway up to the knees. And I haven't walked through water. I'm just walking against the brush on the trail. But look back in there. You can see all that birch laying on the ground. Right here, tons of birch laying right on the ground. All that birch bark can be, well, you wouldn't harvest it all. You wouldn't want to be able to carry it all. But people will take a birch and they'll tear the bark off the tree. Tear it off. Terrible, terrible. Don't do that. It's laying all over the place in the woods. Harvest it off the forest floor. Don't be tearing it off the trees, please. Now this is the type of trail that very easily, if you're not talking or you're not hiking with a bear bell on your hiking stick, you very easily run across wildlife in here. The deer tracks through here are just endless. A boggy area in here to cross. And it's soft. Boy, my hiking stick goes down about 4 inches into that stuff. Another little creek bed that runs through here. Exposed gravel from it flowing hard. Looks like it flows down this hill pretty good. It's probably during the spring runoff. Yeah, this jacket's gonna be good and wet when I get back to the camp. And I won't be able to get it dried off much until tomorrow night. It's not supposed to rain tomorrow. It's supposed to be nice tomorrow and tomorrow evening. So it'll be a campfire tomorrow night. And then I can drape my coat over the back of a chair near the fire pit, and it'll dry out. It'll be bone dry. Well, folks, my camera seems to have stopped behind me back there. That's one of the downfalls of wearing it on your hat. And I don't know where it left off, but We hit interpretive post number 6. I'm sure it didn't shut off. If it shut off between 5 and 6, I believe. Whatever. Whatever it stopped at, it stopped at. I'll find out when I go to edit. Whatever. We'll figure out a way to make a decent hiking video out of it. But I'm coming up on interpretation post number 7. And from there, I'm going to be turning around and heading on out. It's getting late afternoon. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'll have a good hour hike back out. So yeah, when I get to 7, I'll do that one. And then I'll shut the camera down and see out of the trailhead. Well, folks, I'm up here at the very end of the lake. This is the far north end of it. The lake ends right down there. And right down this hill, you got to go around and you got to cross Fish Trap Creek through the muck and then through the woods all the way back to camp over there. I'm headed all the way back the way I came. So it's a long haul. This is right after interpretation post number 7. Nice pine forest in here. It's really neat. But we're going to go to 7 right over here. I'm going to read number 7 off to you. There's number 7. There we go. Number 7. Now, let's read that bugger. What does it say? It says, oh, it's long, but I'm not going to read the whole thing. In 1920, the New Dells Lumber Company purchased the timber on a large tract of land north of Black Lake and arranged to use the Hines Company Railroad to haul the logs. Both the Dells and the Hines companies decked logs on the ice out here on Black Lake prior to loading onto railroad flat cars. In early spring thaw in the winter of 1921, melted the ice and the companies were unable to get all the logs off the ice in time. Since the logs were hardwood and hemlock, the majority of the logs sank after a short time. During the next summer, the two companies salvaged thousands of logs from the lake. About 1923, Hines removed the railroad and the Dells Company was unable to salvage and transport their remaining logs in the lake. About 1939, a portable sawmill was brought in to salvage some of the sunken logs. The mill was operated on the site of Hines Logging Camp 9 until the outbreak of World War II. From 1945 to 1947, Sawmill Johnson of Winter set up a mill on this site and salvaged more logs. Hundreds of logs still remain on the bottom of Black Lake. Some people believe that the dark color of the lake is due to the large amount of rotted bark and logs in the lake. Very interesting, isn't it? And very probable. Most of these northern tier lakes, they're dark in color because of the tannins in the water. And it's from decaying bark off of all the trees around the shorelines and other decaying biomaterial will turn the lakes what we call root beer brown. So there you go. That's interpretive trail post number 7. That's the end of this trail hike. It was a long one. It was just a good long hike. I don't know if you can see it or not, folks, but way off in the distance, you might be able to make out the point on the water out there. There's 2 points that come together. My campsite is around this first point on the left and right across from the point on the right. I hope you can see that. But all the way down the end of that lake and around to the right is the south end of the lake. I'm parked on the southeast side of the lake. So I got to get all the way over there by hiking down there and around and back up. So here we go. I'm taking the long hike back to the trailhead. We'll see you there. Well, folks, here we are. We're out at the trailhead. I don't know if you can see it or not. There's the sign. So yeah, we're back. We're back. We're back. Soaking wet. I'm wet from just above the knees down. My left foot is dry. My right foot is dry. My left foot is wet. I found out that, yeah, if your sock gets soaking wet, it'll wick down into the shoe. Otherwise, that foot was dry, but that sock got soaking wet. Why that one's soaking wet, this one ain't, I don't know. I didn't pee myself. Otherwise, I'm soaking wet. My jacket is wet. Very wet. The hood of my hoodie, soaked. My hat, the brim, if I squeeze it, water comes out. It was wet, and it's cold. And 2.5 hours I've been gone. And it says that the trail is 4 miles long. I thought it was a little longer than 4, but and they say it takes about 2.5 hours to hike it. Well, I'm surprised. I did it in 2 hours and 20 minutes, and I would consider it. Yeah, so I hiked in 2 miles, a little more than 2 miles, not much more, but I'd say 2.25. I hiked up to Fish Trap. It had mucky in there. I wasn't even going to try to come around Fish Trap and then hike back down to the campground and through the campground to get here. I just said I'm turning around, heading back out the way I came, and I headed back out. Worked out to about the same distance as taking the whole loop. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. It was a long hike, and I think I said somewhere in the video, I'm going to show it all to you, pretty much all. There'll be editing, but it'll be long. It'll be a long video, but I want those folks that can't get out to be able to see that trail and what it's like back there. It's beautiful, beautiful, wonderful hike. If you ever get up to northern Wisconsin, check out Black Lake Campground. Spend a few nights. Hike the trail. You'll love it. You'll love it. So, until later, guys, thanks for coming on this hike with me. I'm going to head back to camp, get into all dry, fresh, dry, warm clothes, and I'm going to get my pot of chili going and get that nice and hot for dinner tonight. I'm going to sit back and enjoy some hot chili. No more video work. Just kicking back, eating chili and drinking hot coffee and relaxing for the rest of the night in the screen house out from the rain. Yeah, I'm not doing the fire tonight. The rain's light right now, but it's been raining the whole hike in and the whole hike out. So until the next time, guys, get out there, do a little hiking, even if it's a short hike. If it's a half mile out and a half mile back, you walk the mile, it's good for you. Hey, and it doesn't have to be out in the middle of the backcountry. It can be in a city park. Just get out, enjoy yourselves. And until then, till we see each other again, you all have a very, very nice day. Bye-bye.